It's Christmas present time. Hi everyone, welcome back to RC Pie, and today we're having a look at a variety of pretty inexpensive toy grade RC cars that I've picked up from a few local shops. They all come in at £25 or less. So whilst times are hard, this might be more fitting to your budget, or it might be something that you want as an extra or as a gift for somebody that's never tried RC driving. Whatever it is, hopefully there's going to be something here that I can recommend at least more than the other ones. I'm certainly not going to judge toy grade. It's probably where we all started, so always worth knowing what's going on with the toy grade RCs. So let's get them opened and let's have a look at what's what and how they do. Now this Lamborghini, it's branded as CMJ. I got it from Tesco on a club card offer, so it came in at only £18, which for the size of this I thought was pretty amazing actually. It appears that the same car is available in Smith's. I think it was £25, but it's not got the CMJ branding. It's got Smith's as the importer underneath, but apart from that it looks to be exactly the same. This is available in 4 different colours. It is a proper Lamborghini licence. It's got a stick controller, 1/14 scale. Not sure what batteries this is saying it needs. 2 AAs in the transmitter and 5 AAs in the car. So that's slightly disappointing that it's just sticking to AA batteries, but it is very, very cheap and it looks good. As the biggest car in this multi-test, seems to represent good value in that way, coming in at, well, 18 for this, but normally about 25. It does take 5 AA batteries and 2 in the transmitter. It's a nice looking car, you know, of a good size. If you've got a little boy or girl that fancies a Lamborghini, then I would think they're going to be quite impressed with that. It does also have front lights when you're driving forwards and rear lights when you reverse. The throttle and the steering are just digital, so they're either on or off, so there's no fine proportional driving there, but that could well be enough. Let's see how it drives. This is the big 1/14 scale Lamborghini Aventador from CMJ. That weird steering thing is not nice. Now, if you've got a big space for this, you'll be alright. If you've not, the steering is just shocking. Honestly, to me, with this, even at £18, I would say don't buy it. Honestly, it's not very good. If you had a big haul to drive this in, then you might think, okay, that's all right. The steering radius is going to be okay. I mean, maybe the speed is okay if you've got a big place to drive it. I wouldn't recommend driving it outside because it's not got the clearance and you're going to ruin it in no time. As an RC car, even for that small money, I would say give this a miss. This is not the best. you're better off with something smaller and more fun. Now this Range Rover Sport is actually one that I bought a while ago. These were on offer at Sainsbury's, I think, and I think they're still on offer, 2 for £15, so £7.50 for one of these. You can buy them individually for £10 or £12 at different supermarkets, different toy shops. So they are very, very cheap. It's a 1/24th scale Range Rover Sport. It's full function with a stick transmitter. Pretty much what you'd expect. It takes 3 AA batteries in the car and 2 AAs in the transmitter. Inside the box of the CMJ Range Rover, we've got this same little transmitter that was in the Lamborghini in the 14th scale. This quite nice 1/24th scale body, I think, looks really good for that money. I think that's a better than average mould. There is even a little bit of detailing on the bottom. You've got manual trim on there, which is pretty good on something so cheap. The batteries are 3 AAs in the car and 2 AAs. Oh, I've put the screw back in that. 2 AAs in the transmitter. Although this should be a 4-wheel drive vehicle, it is only 2-wheel drive. What's the lights situation? Front lights when you go forwards. Any rear lights? No. But that's okay. Seems to work all right. It's got rubber mirrors, which are always quite nice, so those can't get broken off. The tyres feel quite hard. Technically they are semi-pneumatic. There's a little air gap in there, but nothing too astounding there. Very much digital on or off steering. Same with the throttle. There's only one speed, go. Okay, let's see what the Range Rover's like. Fairly straightforward. Not the best turning circle, but not too bad. Reasonable speed. You know, overall, not too bad. Here we've got the CMJ DTM Mercedes AMG. C63. Lots of name there to remember. We've reviewed this recently. You may have seen the video. It's 1/24th scale. It's got a polycarbonate looking body on top of kind of a strange chassis. It's got a reversible pistol style transmitter, and this does run off AAs as well. It's got 2 in the transmitter and 3 in the car itself. And that comes in at £12 to £15 in most of the supermarkets. This has got a manual trim like on the other one. Similar, no, actually these tyres feel harder than that Range Rover. So I expect those to be less effective. There's this strange setup on this car with this body shell, a polycarbonate body shell, over the top of a very, very, it's like super old Lego. Yeah, a very strange setup indeed with that, where you still can't get at anything. But I guess it just means that they can manufacture different bodies very easily, put them on the same chassis. And by having these horrible little plastic body pins, it sort of makes it look a bit more like a more serious RC car. But the body itself is quite nice. We just need to see how it runs. Now, if anyone's expecting speed, they're going to be disappointed. And I have to say, the turning circle is appalling. Now, I'm going to just compare these two CMJs together. They're both 1/24th scale. Now, these are similar price. I think this is about £12 to £15, and this is anywhere from £7.50 to £15. So the Range Rover actually is slightly cheaper. Now, honestly, there is no comparison in these two. If you had to have one of these, then you'd go with one of these. It's a much, much better experience. It does drive better, it steers better, it looks better. I would say everything about it is better. The polycarbonate bodied DTM car is a big disappointment even for that money. It just doesn't drive properly at all. The steering is hopeless. Whereas this, not bad at all. If you've got £7.50 to spare, or £15 for the two as I bought them, it's okay. It's nothing special, but it's okay. Now this BMW Z4, it's not branded. I can't find any proper brand on there. No one's trying to claim it as their own. But again, it's a 1/24th scale BMW Z4. Supposedly full function with lights as well. The box says that it requires 3 AA's in the car and 2 AAA's. I think that's what it says. Let's have a look. 3 AAA's in the car and 2 AA's in the transmitter. But when I took this to the checkout, I was told that there was an alert on the system saying it was wrong and that it actually requires 5 AA's. So very similar to the CMJ Range Rover. Now this only came in at £10, so arguably the cheapest of the lot if you don't get one on a multi-buy. Transmitter does have 2 AA's in there, and the car itself has 3. I quite like the fact that they're AA's and not AAA's, because you tend to have them around the house a little bit more. There is a manual trim lever for the steering there to keep you going straight. Little bit of detailing on the car, which I quite like. Tyres don't feel too bad. I'm not sure about the detailing on the wheels, because the disc brakes go around with the wheel. Bit of a funny one, that. But the car itself is quite nice. The body is nice. It's got a little roll cage inside the cabin. It's got rubber mirrors, which is always nice. The wing is plastic, but I don't think it will really be going fast enough to do any proper damage. Throttle, let's turn it on. Oh, it does a little steering check when you connect them. Throttle's okay. So we've got front lights when you go forwards, rear lights when you go backwards, and that's quite nice. And the steering, again, digital. It's just on or off, really, as you'd expect, but at least it's not doing any sort of constant whirring. So here's the BMW. Let's see what it's made of. I've got to say, it's pretty good. Could I recommend one of these cars? Yes, absolutely. Honestly, it's great. £10? What a fantastic little RC car for £10. Looks good, drives nicely. It's a no-brainer. Honestly, it's difficult sometimes with really cheap cars because there are so many drawbacks, but I can accept having a really flimsy transmitter because it's just great. This is the only car, it's a bit different to the others as it's a buggy, but it's the only car that doesn't have any sort of car brand, whereas the others are Lamborghinis and, you know, Red Bull licensed or even the Forza license. This hasn't got any sort of license at all. It's just a speed racer. It's 1/20th scale, apparently. It does have a speed on it, 15 kilometers per hour. It says that it's got a built-in battery, or, well, maybe not built-in battery, but a rechargeable, USB rechargeable battery, which is pretty cool. Always something that I do like to see. I don't know what else to tell you about this. Again, it doesn't seem to have a brand. It's got Smith's Toys on the box. That's the shop that it was bought from. So I guess they're importing it directly. Nothing else to tell you about that so far. So here's the Speed Racer. The transmitter, I have to say, is the first one that has felt of reasonable quality. Now, the car itself, it's a funny one because it clearly wants to look like an off-road buggy, but it's got some strange things going on. So these faux shock absorbers on the front are just plastic mouldings. There are, if you can see in there are some little springs. The rear has got nothing whatsoever regarding suspension. Yeah, now going on there. There's no trim. This is a fake trim adjustment here, which is a bit of a shame. The body's kind of weird. It's got a polycarbonate body, which is just kind of pushed onto these studs, these pins. Doesn't seem to pull off easily. It's got some lights underneath the body. Tyres, fairly hard, these mini spikes. Fairly hard, but probably perfectly good for driving indoors. Wouldn't want to be taking those outdoors because those will scrub off in no time. You can guarantee that. The battery is a single cell lithium ion, so 3.7 volt, 500 milliamp hour. So that'll do you okay. That'll last fairly well in a car this small. And there is a USB charger that came with it. So let's have a go and see what it's like. Here's the Speed Racer. You know, steering's pretty good and it's got quite a turn of speed. Now, it's clearly not an off-road buggy, but just as a little on-road car, it's pretty cool. It feels smooth. You can actually steer, which is nice. quite like it. And I'll tell you something else nice about this. It's nice and quiet. I have to say, for £13, this little thing is a whole lot of fun. Yeah, it just hits the spot. I'm really surprised because I was expecting it to be complete rubbish. I really was, but it's really quite good. If your price point, if your budget for a little toy racer, a little toy RC car for somebody is under £15, well, £13 gets you something that's actually quite nice. Now this one is a little bit different. It's 1/24th scale again. Brand wise, this is a Maisto, so a fairly well known brand. It's apparently got a USB battery in, which is cool. It is licensed by the Red Bull Oracle racing team, so it is their Formula One car. It does look very, very nice. This was a little bit more expensive. This came in at £25, so it's actually the most expensive one of the lot, even though it's one of the smallest. I'm quite excited, quite interested to see just what this is like. It claims to be high speed, so we will see whether that is really true. This requires 2 AAA batteries for the transmitter, but it does say on the box batteries included, so we will see if that is the case when we open it up. Probably the most comprehensive instructions of any of these, which is quite nice actually. You get a USB cable. Your transmitter, it's a pistol grip transmitter. It's a bit weird. The fact that there's no space behind the pistol is a bit weird, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. The car itself, I mean, of all the cars that we've looked at, this has got to be the prettiest. You know, whether you like Red Bull or not, whether you like Formula One or not, this is clearly quite a nice little scale model. The slick tyres, they're not sticky at all, but they're not completely glassy, so they'll probably get a little bit of grip. Feels like there's a good steering angle on there. So there's an on-off switch here with a power light, flashing because it's not been bound, and there's a little rubber cover here for where the USB lead plugs in, so you can't get at the batteries. Yeah, the batteries for the transmitter were included, 2 AAAs, so that's nice that everything is included. Okay, the Red Bull's finally charged. It looks very, very nice, but as a driving experience, well, it's kind of mixed, to be honest. It's okay in that it steers all right, the throttle's okay, like everything's okay about it, but considering it's a Formula One car and it says high speed on the box, and it's the most expensive of these, I think it's a little bit disappointing. So if you're a big fan of Red Bull, then, you know, this could be quite a good thing for you or for your kid or whatever. If you're not a big fan of Red Bull, then I'd say this isn't going to sway you, and it's not going to turn you to their cause. So yeah, it's not one that I would really recommend, although it is certainly better than some of the others. And here we've got a completely different type of license. This is a computer game license. Fortza is a Xbox series of driving games. So this is evidently one of the vehicles from the game. Quite a nice little set. We will see what it's up to, but it's a little kind of, I don't know, monster truck sort of thing. It's got a pistol grip transmitter in there, USB cable as well, so it's USB chargeable. It also comes with a ramp and a checkpoint, pair of checkpoint signs. So that's quite a nice, cool little thing as well. All batteries included, according to this, and it is from New Bright, who've been around for quite a while. Very varied quality of vehicles from New Bright. Some of them are absolutely dreadful. Some of them are, well, acceptable. But we will see what this is like. And this came in at £20. That was on an offer at Tesco. I think they're normally about £25. So the transmitter, it's quite small. It's quite cheap feeling, I've got to say, although it is a bit bigger than the others because it's got this bottom section to make it look like a bigger transmitter. It actually makes it a bit harder to hold, certainly for an adult, but for a kid that'd be perfectly fine. Trigger feels okay. Wheel feels horrible. It's got a power switch. It takes 2 AAs. A pair of AAs do come in the box with this, so that's quite nice to see and quite unusual. You get a USB charging cable with this because the car has got a built-in battery and a little socket there for you to plug into. Power switch there. It's got manual trim. Just looking at this, as far as suspension is concerned, there is no sort of typical suspension. It's just that the single suspension arms here are flexible. Tyres feel quite hard, so they're not going to be super grippy. It is rear wheel drive, and the rear suspension is the same. It's just these trailing arms are slightly flexible, so it's not really got any rear suspension to speak of, especially when you consider just how light it is. It's an interesting little vehicle. Not sure what the tiny spare wheel is all about on there, or spare tyre. Well, both spare wheel and tyre. But I have to say, I don't like the feel of this body. It feels cheap. Let's turn it on. See what's the steering like. So it's another one with just this non-proportional steering, but again, you expect that. This, remember, came in at £20. I think I got it on offer at £20. I think it's supposed to be about 25. Throttle, proportional throttle. So that's quite good. Quite unusual in something of this price. Lights on the front. And you also get this ramp, which, because of the way it was packaged, with the car strapped down onto the ramp, or strapped through the ramp and onto the box, the ramp has been deformed quite a bit. Now, because it's very light, I don't know whether that's going to just get pushed by the car like that. Probably with a bit of pace you'd be okay. Let's see how it drives. So here we've got Penhall the Choller. Let's see what it's like. Right, well that's a bit weird because if I steer left and then give it full throttle, it goes right. If I steer right, give it full throttle, it goes right. It's certainly nippy, but the idea of having a ramp when you can't actually steer, again, if I'm steering left and reverse at full speed, it doesn't go left. Wow, this is strange. So another go at hitting this ramp. I mean, the ramp's basically a waste of time because you will never be able to steer where you want. The only thing I can say is it's fast, but what a waste of time. Now, what to say about this Penhall the Choller, I don't know what it is. I mean, I really don't know what it is, but this was kind of the wild card in here, in that it's not a real car. It's not something that fits well, as far as I know, it's not a real car. It's not something that fits exactly with the others. But, you know, you get everything. You get your car, your transmitter, your USB cable, all your batteries, and a ramp. And for 20 to £28, something like that, that sounds pretty good. Could I recommend it in any way, shape or form? No, I really couldn't. This is not a good car, and this is new bright RC up to their old tricks of, quite frankly, producing flashy looking rubbish. So I would say do not get one of these. There we go. We've got 7 cars in this toy RC car test. Trying to find you what you should get for yourself or for someone else for Christmas for very small money. So here's a bit of a rundown. We'll start with the worst. Now, I think I would have to go. It's a tricky one for the worst because it depends on what you're looking for. But I think overall the most disappointing, and considering the money, was this new bright Penhall the Choller. Very disappointing car. It looks like it's going to be great. It's got all the bits and bobs, but just it's like it's been made by someone that's never driven it. Like, oh, we'll put a fast motor in it, but then it won't be able to do anything because it'll just skid all over the place. So I'm putting that as my last place, I think. But if you were paying full price for this, now Tesco reckon that this should be £45. I think you get these in Smith's for about £25. Now I think it was 17 that I paid, 17, 18, something like that. Then it's okay. It's disappointing, but it's kind of okay. If you were paying £25, then I might even say get Penhall the Choller. It's not very good. The steering is appalling. It's a big no-no. Please don't buy one of these. Next on the list is this, the DTM CJM Mercedes. Now, this has only kind of scored better than the others. It's probably worse, but it is cheaper. So it's only just pulling it out because of that. I would not recommend this for 1 minute. Again, let's please send a message to these RC manufacturers that they can't be, or toy manufacturers, that they can't be producing complete rubbish that doesn't work properly. This is not very good. Next in line, I think, is probably the Red Bull Formula One car. Now, it's not bad. There's nothing particularly bad about this. I'd kind of like to give this third place, but it's 2.5 times more expensive than third place. So not a bad car, not a bad RC. If you like the look of it and you just fancy one, I wouldn't tell you don't get one, not for a minute. It's all right. It's all right. It's just nothing special. Third place would be this CMJ Range Rover, or you can get the McLaren in exactly the same car. It's not great, but for an indoor little drive, it's okay, and it's very, very cheap. Now, we've got this Speed Racer, I think they called it. This was £13, and you know, I looked at it and I thought, this is going to be terrible. I really expected it to be rubbish. I only got it because it was very, very cheap. But it's great fun. It's just, some things just put a smile on your face. And I don't care that this was 13 quid. If this was 30 quid, it would still be in the top 2 of these cars, because it's just a fun little vehicle. I think they've just got it right. Who knows how long it'll last, but I think they've got it right. But I have to say, my recommendation, my top recommendation, would be this BMW Z4. As I said, I don't like BMWs, but it looks good, it drives nicely, and it's £10. £10 for an okay radio controlled car. Now, I would have expected that any radio controlled car that you get for £10 would be absolute rubbish. This isn't. So if you are looking for a stocking filler, if you are looking for a first radio controlled car for somebody, a gift for somebody, or something to throw in your suitcase and take to your hotel on holiday, why not? Get one of these. It's cool, it's fun, and it's very, very cheap. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If it has, please leave me a comment to let me know what you liked, or if there is another toy grade car that you'd like to know about, ask the question. If I can go and get one, I'll do my best to do so. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, and we'll see you again on RC Pie. Keep driving, and thanks for watching.